What's up, guys? We are back for another Diamond Select review for a line that, frankly, I am very excited about. And this is also, as best I can tell, an exclusive, a Walgreens exclusive. We're taking a look at FLYNN here. So this, of course, is the blue version, not the Infiltrator Red, which seems to be the standard version. And I'm a big Tron fan. I love that original movie, and I've really been wanting some Tron figures for quite a while, and I'm glad to get something that's of this scale. So we've got FLYNN here in what seems to be standard packaging for this line, a smaller format window style box, which is different from a lot of the normal Diamond Select style packaging. So you've got him here in the window, you've got the classic Tron logo down there on the bottom, same on the side with more windows, and then the back of the package has that kind of iconic shot from the movie, along with a little bit of a write-up of the story of Tron. So let's do it. Let's pull this guy out and take a look. And here he is out of the package, our Walgreens exclusive FLYNN figure. This is a line that I'm not really sure I was expecting or thought I really needed, but when you think about it, there isn't a lot of Tron stuff out there, and what is available isn't exactly easy to get anymore. So this is a new and very affordable option, because these guys are only 17 bucks at Walgreens, so it's quite a deal, and I think they look really good. He moves pretty well, but I think they look really good, and that's really why I wanted to get this guy. So let's see how he moves first, then we'll take a look at all the pretty stuff going on here. So the head can not really go backwards, but it does go down a little bit. It rotates side to side. You've got arms that go out. Of course, they are going to be different though. So this one goes out pretty far, and then it rotates. This one only goes out about that far because of the tunic, and then it can only rotate so far as well. You do have a bicep swivel in there. You've got a double jointed elbow, and because of this, his arm can only go down so far. It can't actually go flush against the body. You've also got wrist rotation, and then you've got hinges down here. So this one is the exact same, it's just not hindered by the tunic. He's got a diaphragm cut, which isn't as hindered as you might expect. I mean, it is a rubbery piece that sits over top of the figure, so it is going to cause some issues, but he can twist pretty well. What it really prohibits, and I think the figure itself doesn't move this well to begin with, he doesn't have a lot of tilt forward and backward, or really anything side to side. It's mostly just rotation. And then he also has a waist twist down here as well. It's underneath that tunic, so it's just another point to pivot him at, but it does move pretty well. Legs go decently far. They kick forward all the way, and they kick backwards really far. You can also kind of move him at that ball up there, but he does have it's a really low thigh cut. It's more like an upper knee cut. You can rotate there. You're going to break those lines up though. And then you've got your double jointed knees. You don't have anything at the boot though. There's no cut for a shin swivel, but you do have a rocker, and you've got hinges down there at those ankles. So he does move pretty well, but he's not without his hindrances. And a lot of that just comes from the fact of, well, he's got soft goods that should be sitting over top of him. They aren't, of course, soft goods here. They're kind of a rubbery, pliable material, and it's just going to get in the way. But like I said, I bought this guy mostly because of how he looks, and I was very curious about a $17 Tron figure. So as far as the aesthetics go, I like this guy. The one downside for me with this figure is that I realized after the fact, they don't really react to blacklight, or at least this guy doesn't, and I feel like if there was one figure that might have coincidentally been really cool to have reacted to blacklight, it would have been this guy, and he just doesn't really do anything. Of course, that's not a fault of the figure. It's just sort of a thing that I like to play around with when it comes to checking out toys. But this guy does look really good, and I love the color scheme here. So you've got a very muted blue, almost gray color for the undertones of the figure, but then of course you have all of the circuitry that runs all over the body. You've got the little wrist piece over here. You've got the big gauntlet over on this side, and it's all covered in this, techno type of look. It's all over the back as well. He does have a port on the back for his disc, and it's just a cool looking figure. I mean, that's really what it came down to. I think they did a pretty good job of actually making these figures look like they jumped out of the movie. The color scheme works really well. The line work on these is really crisp and clean. I'm pretty happy with it for the most part. There are a few little places here and there, like on the joints, that they have maybe a little bit of flub, but for the most part, like, the line work on the belt is good. The line work on the chest and on the armor that runs down the side, and especially the stuff on the back here, just looks fantastic. I think it's really nicely applied and very, very clean. And then again, here is the disc, which we might as well talk about because it's his only accessory. So it's the throwing disc here. It's got some blue circles on it on the inside and the outside, and it pegs into the back. The one thing that I find to be troublesome is that he can't really hold it that well because he only has these kind of slightly gripping hands. So the best way to get him to hold it is to kind of have him hold it upside down almost, which I don't really like. It's hard for him to hold it right side up, at least for me. So you just kind of got to play with it. mess around with it until it sits correctly, but when you get it, it'll stay there just fine. I've had him posed for a while without it actually falling out. But as far as the looks on the figure go, you know, the disc notwithstanding, I think he looks really good. It makes me want to get some more of the other figures just because I think they'll all look really nice together. And then the head sculpt on this guy, I think is really solid. It's a very good young Jeff Bridges here. I think the actual face itself with that muted color tone with the gray works really well. There's not a lot of detail, but it kind of works based on the movie itself and kind of the subtleties of how that film looks. So it works for me. The expression maybe leaves a little bit to be desired. I kind of wish there was maybe a little something more going on in his face, but it does very much look like him to me. I think they've captured that young likeness quite well. And then the helmet is just as cool as the armor on the figure, so there's just a lot more of that line work, more of that circuitry, more of that techno-y kind of stuff. And it's really clean up here too, just like it's clean on the arms and the chest and the back of the figure. The head is just as good. So there is quite a bit of paint up there, and it covers a really nice head sculpt. And then, as is pretty customary with diamond stuff, you do get a stand with this guy, so it's just a standard little black stand with one singular peg. It's a stand. You put it in his foot, and he stands up. It helps him to stay stable. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. So overall, this is a pretty fun figure. I am very tempted to get at least a couple more from the main assortment in this line. I don't know if I need everything, but, you know, maybe a Sark at the very least, and of course a Tron figure. But I do like this guy. I think that it looks really good, and that's probably the key aspect of this figure. It looks good. It definitely isn't as dynamic as a lot of other figures, and he doesn't move as great as a lot of other lines, but he looks exactly like I want him to, and ultimately that's kind of why I bought him. He's not going to be posed in some crazy dynamic position, but he's going to look cool being Flynn on a shelf. And that's ultimately what I got him for. And he was only 17 bucks. So if you're into Tron, this is probably a good way to get something in that movie on your shelf. And you can't really go wrong there. So that's going to do it for this look at the Diamond Select Walgreens exclusive Flynn. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time.